Good morning. How is everybody today? We are so happy that you are here today. Welcome to the 11th annual Arizona Autism United Caring Hearts Bruncheon. My name is Jamie Zarowski, and I have served on the board here at AZA United for more than 4 years. I volunteer my time supporting this organization because I know firsthand the impact an organization like this plays on the lives of Arizona families here in Arizona affected by autism. More than 12 years ago, my nephew Ben was diagnosed with autism. Ben was a loving, happy child, but his speech was severely delayed. He never made eye contact, and he always struggled to get us to understand his wants and needs. Ben's diagnosis came late when he was 7 years old, and like many other families affected, it changed all of our lives forever. Now, this change wasn't negative. It was just a new way of thinking and looking at the world through Ben's eyes. While navigating this journey with Ben, I also had 2 other dear friends who are here today who received autism diagnoses for their children. I knew that this was my journey, and amazingly, that path led me here to AZA more than 8 years ago when I was invited to my first luncheon. Our program today highlights the incredible milestones that both our organization and client families have achieved over the past 16 years since AZA began. The purpose of our event today gives us all a better understanding of the challenges the autism community faces each and every day, as well as the tools and resources that AZA offers that help so many families here in the Valley. However, it would not be possible for all of this to happen without each of you and each of our wonderful sponsors. They help make AZA's dreams into a reality, like this very building we are sitting at today. I'd like to take a moment and thank each of them. I'd like to thank our premium sponsor, which is near and dear to my heart, and that is DesignWorks Gaming. My husband, Troy Zarowski, and I started DesignWorks Gaming with a mission in mind: make great games with great people, and also make a difference in our community. Little did we know, we would make amazing relationships with our wonderful employees who are here today, and we would connect with local organizations like AZA United, and we are so grateful to be part of this Bruncheon and the AZA community. Thank you. Next, I'd like to thank and recognize our partner sponsor, the Magellan Cares Foundation. We are so grateful for their continued support over all the years, and their support has allowed us to ensure services for so many families here. Thank you so much. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to thank our supporting sponsors. Please hold your applause until the end. I'd like to thank Lovett Touche, Haney and Company, JP Morgan Chase and Company, Mutual of America, Mercy Care, Central Reach, BMO Harris Bank, and Dental Specialty Associates. We greatly appreciate all of your support. Let's give our sponsors a round of applause. Now I'd like to thank some very important people that made this happen today. Our Bruncheon committee members, please raise your hands. Stacy Harkins, Sadie Tedder, Neely Burkhart, Paulina Tiffany, and Amelia Graves. Thank each of you for the hard work you put into organizing and scheduling this beautiful event. You ladies are rock stars. Another group of committed people who deserve our applause are our table captains. Please raise your hands. Year after year, you amaze us in making this event a success. Your continued support of the AZA mission is overwhelming. So from our hearts to yours, thank you so very much. And finally, I'd like to recognize our young volunteers here today. They're over in the corner. Thank you so much for waking up early on a Saturday morning. Thank you for supporting the success of the event today. We couldn't have done it without you, and we really appreciate your dedication. I am now excited to introduce our Vice President of Children and Youth Services, Carrie Burinek. Hi, welcome. Today is a milestone. It is very meaningful for me to be here with you today on the site of our future playground. Hopefully nice and shaded. The spot where you are sitting will house a beautiful play structure. To the back of the building, we hope to install a sports court and a bicycle racetrack, and because we know kids need to exercise and be outside even in the summer, our hope is to replace that fountain with a water play area. Now, the unveiling of this clinic is a lot different from that of our first, and to help you fully appreciate just how different, I will tell you how it went. We opened our first children's clinic in Mesa, providing mostly ABA services. And if you don't know, ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis. It's a very effective teaching, way of teaching, especially for new skills. It's also used to change habits and help people meet important milestones. And because it's so effective at changing behavior, it is the gold standard of care for children on the autism spectrum. So we had never done clinic-based services before, but we had a really good plan, a strong vision, well-trained staff, many families eager to work with us, and of course a beautiful clinic to fill. So we got started. We brought in our first client in March of 2020. Some of you might remember it. It was on the news. So one day we're dreaming about a grand opening with, food trucks in the parking lot and bouncy houses and cotton candy. And the next day, literally overnight, I'm online shopping for Lysol wipes. The deck had been completely reshuffled, but we did what AZA does so well. We stayed flexible and undeterred. And with the support of incredibly flexible staff and one very understanding family, we were able to keep the clinic running. He had his pick of therapists, didn't have to share toys, 4,000 square feet to run amok. It was hard, but hard as it was, I'm actually so grateful for that time because a lot of things went right. Those early days in the clinic were formative. They set a foundation for how we operate today. It gave us the opportunity to grow slowly, grow with purpose. We have a quote on the wall in the lobby at the East Valley Center that says, "Play is the highest form of research." And as we were able to safely open and bring more families in, we learned how to turn play into our superpower. We have a blast. We have a ton of fun there. But make no mistake, this is really hard work for our learners, and we know how much we're asking of them. When a child first begins services, they're asked to learn and do many hard things. Maybe they're leaving their parents for the first time. They're following a structured schedule of daily activities. They're sharing toys. They're sitting through circle time songs sung by completely tone-deaf staff. But it's also a place to make their first friend, learn to ride a bike, say their first word, or maybe use the big kid potty for the first time. So we learned how vital it is to make a space that they enjoy coming to. And when I see learners marching into the clinic, ready to hang up their backpack and get to work, I know we're on the right track. We see firsthand that when you build the right environment, you can leave all of the playroom doors open and the kids will grab you to play with them. We learned some other things too. We learned that you need way more flaming hot Cheetos than you think you do. We learned that it doesn't matter how many slides you have because you always need one more. And my favorite, never ever try to vacuum up water beads. I wish I had a picture. And for the record, it wasn't me. But we've also learned the importance of collaboration.
Arizona Autism United is one of the few agencies that, in addition to providing ABA, we provide speech therapy and occupational therapy. Now, each of these services are incredibly valuable all on their own. But when you can get those service providers in the same space, working together, sharing ideas, you understand that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And AZA is committed to providing that interdisciplinary service. We're going to continue to offer ABA, speech, and OT here at this site. And you may have noticed on the tour, we're also adding diagnostic services, counseling, and family support services. This growth has been incredible to watch. We didn't start out with all of this. We started ABA services 10 years ago with a clinical team of 1. Today, we employ 65 staff in our ABA department. We tripled our speech team. And last year, we proudly launched occupational therapy services. Today, our ABA team serves over 90 families across the valley, and each day, 30 children receive ABA, speech, and OT at the East Valley Clinic. And we're still growing. We haven't just grown in size. We've also grown our perspective about what it means to provide individual supports for family and children. Last year, we removed the puzzle piece from our logo. For many years, the puzzle piece served as a symbol of autism awareness and advocacy. However, in recent years, autistic adults and self-advocates have challenged this symbol and told the autism community that they don't view their autism as a puzzle or a problem to be solved. I can't say it better than this, so I'll read you the words of one autistic adult who says, "My autism is not an accessory that I can set aside. It's not something external that is latched onto me. It's not an illness or a disease that I've caught. It is a fundamental, inseparable part of me and who I am." So today, with the help of autistic self-advocates, providers have learned to embrace a different perspective. We see our role as helping to improve the quality of life for the entire family. We help expand hobbies and special interests. We teach learners to advocate for themselves. We promote independence. And when we're invited to do so, we help them achieve goals that are important to them. In short, we are building skills in children who, with our help, will grow to be happy, independent, and empowered adults. So here we are today, poised for another milestone. We don't have bouncy houses or cotton candy, but we all get to be together. The space behind you is not just a building. It's the culmination of many, many milestones, many years of hard work from our staff, but more importantly, our clients. It's an invitation to come and play. It's an offer of support. It sets the stage for countless kids and families to flourish in the years to come. And I hope that as you watch us grow, you will remember that you were here today, you were a part of it, and you will feel proud of the support you have given us. So thank you. Thank you for being here and giving us the long-awaited, beautiful grand opening. It means the world to us. And now it is my pleasure to welcome someone whose child receives services at our East Valley Center. Please welcome Sarah Pressler.
We've had a really wild 2 weeks with RSV in our home, pneumonia, 4 visits to the doctors, and I'm still recovering. There's another mother here, and if she could just stand up, she had offered to step in if I couldn't make it. And I think this is really the essence of what it means to be a parent. So Sadie, could you stand up, because we just want to thank you. I'm excited to go to the next event and hear Sadie's remarks. I really appreciate you, Mom. All right, I know the sun is hot, but this is a really big deal to be here today together, so let's get rolling. Good morning. My name is Sarah, and I've lived in Arizona since grade school. I served 2 terms as the mayor of Flagstaff, and I'm an attorney. I'm married to my wife, Allie, and she's a chef by professional training, and nowadays, a superhero full-time mama to 4 children. 4 children. Meet our kids. First, we have triplets. Yeah. Larry, David, and Piper. They're 4. We also have a 2-year-old named Bobby. All right, meet Larry. Larry's that cute blonde kid who reminds me of the boy in A Christmas Story. He's sensitive, smart, and silly. Larry actually receives speech therapy at AZA because he needed more than what the school could provide him. And AZA provides services for the entire family, and that's huge. For Halloween, Larry was Mickey Mouse, total classic kid. All right, meet Piper. Piper has no issues with speech. She loves to talk, and she's a great artist. She runs really fast too, and she likes Barbies and everything pink, which makes absolutely no sense to me, but we're supportive. For Halloween, Piper was Elsa from Frozen. Let it go. We listen to that a lot. Meet David. I'll tell you a lot more about David in a moment. David's on the front of today's program. David is very smart and clever. He's got the best smile and excellent skills on the dance floor. And Lord knows where he got those dance skills, but it's not genetic. For Halloween, David was a pumpkin. Super cute. Bobby is the little one. He's 2, going on 20. Bobby is ready to do everything the triplets are doing. For Halloween, Bobby was dressed as a slice of pepperoni pizza. And Bobby personally insisted on that costume. Pizza, pizza. Yeah, we have 4 children, ages 4 and under. And while we have some incredible family support, it's a lot of work. It's good, important work, but let's be honest, it's work. And I can't even remember what life was like before these 4 little kiddos, but life is so much happier with Larry, David, Piper, and Bobby in the world. Okay, I want to tell you a little bit more about David. You ready? All right, David was the first of the triplets to make eye contact. He was the first to smile, the first to walk, and the first to talk. He is very bright. However, just after David's 2nd birthday, we noticed his bright little light went dim, and he rapidly regressed developmentally. At age 2.5, David had less than 5 words. He played alone or alongside other children. He would not give any eye contact, and he simply wasn't our sweet, sociable David. Listen, I thought maybe David couldn't hear me, right? Or maybe he couldn't see me. Maybe he just wasn't that hungry and didn't like all the food we were offering him. I mean, kids have all sorts of challenges that probably could be fixed with a simple visit to the doctor, right? Well, after talking with our pediatrician, they referred us to the Arizona Early Intervention Program. And they delivered the first difficult news that David should be evaluated by a developmental pediatrician. We were shocked to learn that these professionals have long wait times, up to a year, since so many children need an evaluation. We were put on a cancellation list and began feeding therapy to address his narrow food preferences and limited nutrition. Finally, we got an appointment for David's diagnostic evaluation in the week of Christmas 2020. The doctor was clear in his diagnosis after a few hours. David has autism. I couldn't hear anything in that moment. Like the whole world went silent. And the grief that struck me, it was debilitating. I had to excuse myself after the evaluation, and I had managed to scribble down some notes and listed some of the agencies that he suggested. And through that immediate darkness, I managed to stop feeling sorry for myself and start taking action for David. After all, I'm a professionally trained attorney. I am top of my field, best of class. I am the lawyer who other lawyers call. I decided to put my advocacy skills to work for David. And I had no idea how much my skills would be put to the test, facing an incredibly complicated government system to get my son David qualified for services. You see, I am built for these legal gymnastics, but most parents, they're not. So if the various interviews with state agencies crushed me, imagine what they would do to the everyday parent who is just trying to make it through the noise to get help for their child. And despite the challenges, I am so grateful to have learned that David has autism. I know that his early diagnosis has been crucial to his progress, and that it was a gift. It's been an open door to treatment and early enrollment in a public school that provides him a supportive environment. and I wouldn't trade that hard-hitting diagnosis for anything. It is David's one-way ticket on the train to achieve his milestones. And when it came to treatment, listen, I did a lot of research, and there is not a one-size-fits-all solution for a child with autism. And let me tell you, there are a ton of for-profit companies out there just waiting to pounce on vulnerable parents and children and provide them services. It's true. But my child is not a customer, and our goals are not for profit. This is David's one precious life. And when I discovered that this nonprofit, AZA United, existed, listen, I worked night and day to find a way to get on this waiting list. David started preschool early in a special needs, self-contained classroom designed for children with autism. His teacher was awesome and he had a ton of support, but it wasn't enough. You see, David really needed applied behavioral analysis, or ABA, but there's a big wait list. So we waited. And we waited and we waited, and finally we got the call that David had reached the top of the list with AZA United. I cried on the phone. I couldn't believe it. It felt like we had hit the lottery. And not only that, we were going to get to go to their new East Valley Center, where David could go for services on a schedule that would actually work with his school day. From ABA to speech to occupational therapy, AZA United is a one-stop shop. And for those in the know, that's unheard of. But at AZA, it's the standard. Through early intervention and treatment at AZA United, David is learning skills that are the foundation for happy, healthy, and a fulfilled life. Here's just a few of the major milestones that David has achieved. First, dinner time. Through practice and coaching in our home by AZA clinicians, David now sits at the table for meals. He's 4. This has opened up so many opportunities for our family, from birthday parties to play dates to dining out together. All right, let's talk about safety. Listen, David runs fast. I remember taking David for a walk about a year ago, and he ran away from me, and I couldn't catch up to him. Many of you know how scary that feels to have your child, who isn't verbal, running away at a high rate of speed. But after coaching by AZA clinicians, he now returns when I call his name. He holds my hand when we cross the street, and he knows how to wait before we get into the car. We can now safely take a walk in our neighborhood, go to the playground, and play in the front yard with our neighbors. Together, we're navigating places like the Costco parking lot. And he can even walk on his own from his school pickup line directly to our vehicle after school. We host a huge Halloween block party every year, where we close the street so all the kids can play freely. And David is right there in the thick of it, thriving. It's been life-changing to reach these essential milestones for health and safety. David had just a few words at 2.5, and I worried he might be able to never verbally communicate. Now, David's talking. He asks for what he wants, and he tells jokes. David puts together words and sentences. David is a talker. All right, listen, at our church, the children go to the front for children's time, and the youth director talks with the children in front of the congregation and asks them questions. You've seen this before. Recently, she told a story about sheep and asked the kids a question. The next thing I know, David is at the microphone talking to the congregation. I was like, wait, is that David? Yeah, it is. When the kids were little, I read the very same book to the triplets every single day. It's called A Good Day. Every night for years, including before, during, and through the diagnosis. And one day, without skipping a beat, David started reading along with me. And in that book was the word mama. And I will never forget when his little voice said it for the first time, mama. And now he loves to read, and he says mom all the time to get my attention. Mom, 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 mom. David, I hear you. Family support. Our family feels totally supported by AZA and the team. We know them, and they really know us. They value our family diversity, and they appreciate that our family is built on love, not labels. Their parent training is incredible, and it's helped us with so many things, like teaching David how to make eye contact using words and gestures rather than moving his face in front of us. He now gives eye contact with ease, and it's very special. Self-advocating. David is learning how to speak up for himself with words and actions, and at a recent parent-teacher conference just last month, they said that David could now attend the traditional preschool class with his siblings. And when they asked David if he wanted to return to the self-contained classroom, he declined. The teacher said he just didn't want to go back. He was ready to move forward. He now knows how to advocate for himself. And this is such an important skill that he's going to use for his whole life. Social skills. Listen, David is a social butterfly. In fact, he's had more birthday party invitations than any of our 4 kids combined. Social skills at work. It takes time, dedication, and practice and support to make these accomplishments possible. And we are so grateful that our team, David's team at AZA, exists. We have experienced as a family firsthand the AZA difference. And when treatment options were so limited during the pandemic, our experience at the East Valley Center has been life-changing, not just for David, but for our entire family. When he's at AZA, we know that he's safe, supported, and has an individualized plan for success. And whether services are at home or in the clinic, or even through teletherapy, AZA makes sure that services are provided in step with each child and each family to achieve their goals. David is 4. And while some nights I do stay up worrying about David at 14, at 24, and at 40, I'm absolutely confident that with AZA's focus on these critical early milestones, he will be able to reach his greatest potential and beyond. Because these milestones are the foundation for his entire future. His fine motor practice and occupational therapy will soon turn into tying his own shoes. His identification of emotions and speech will soon turn into identifying his feelings with words. And his life skills and goals at ABA will soon blossom into David as a rock star kindergartner, and one day, a high school graduate and beyond. And so, because of AZA and all of David's hard work, I often lay awake at night imagining his bright future, one filled with meaningful relationships, a degree, a career, a family. For David, the sky's the limit. And that's true for every child with autism when they have the right services and supports. And AZA has the supports, all of them, that a family could need, from assessments, ABA, speech, occupational therapy, family services, and even whole family counseling. Thank you so much for coming today to celebrate AZA United's growth, including this amazing new West Valley Center. You are helping us achieve milestones together. And finally, thank you so much from our family to yours for giving us the opportunity to share our story with you, fellow members of this big and growing AZA United family. We have so much that connects us, including our shared connection with this life-changing organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. A very powerful speech and makes the whole morning worth it for us. We really appreciate all of you coming out today, and I'd like to begin by just saying thank you to everyone for coming and for supporting us. I want to thank all of our sponsors for making this event possible, for all of our great speakers for sharing their stories. I want to say a special thank you to Jamie Zarowski for being the event chair of leading the way for this wonderful event, and the entire Bruncheon committee. Your hard work is paid off. I also want to say a thank you to our volunteer board members who do the important work of leading the organization at the governing level and sharing their time, treasure, and talent. And lastly, of course, I want to thank our staff who do the hard work every day, day in, day out, to make all the impact that we have on the community possible. One final thank you for today's volunteers, especially the teens. They got up early, they stayed late. These are great kids, and we're very proud of them. They've accomplished so much, and we really appreciate your help. Today's theme is achieving milestones together. So in my role, I find myself frequently reflecting on milestones. It's a way of mentally measuring progress and reminding ourselves that today's struggles can often lead to tomorrow's proudest moments. It's important to pause and appreciate them when we get there, because recognizing those milestones is the reinforcer for the work we've done, and it's the motivation to keep doing more. I also think about the word together and how central that is in the work we do. In fact, one of our core values is to bring people together, as we've done here today. Recently, in an interview, a candidate asked me, what is the most important thing that I want every employee of AZA United to know about how we operate here? And without having had a chance to think of anything in advance, my gut instinct answer was, we do this together. Together with families, together as teammates, and together with the community. There have been a great many milestones in AZA United's 16-year history that we have achieved together. Each family has their own long list of milestones that they've achieved with their provider that they never knew were possible. Each program has expanded to help more people, continually improving models of care. And the organization has grown to include more providers, more services, more locations, and more resources for families. And our community has evolved to better support people with autism in very meaningful ways. So when I reflect back on our most significant milestones, it serves two purposes. It reminds us of where we've been, and it helps us see where we need to go next. So I'd like to share a few milestones with you now that I think have been very significant, both for AZA United and our local autism community. Milestone number one is when AZA United was created. So in 2005, autism families had very few options. Those who could figure out the DDD state system might get an in-home support provider, but there was little to no training available. And so families were largely left on their own to figure out what to do. We started AZA United because, at minimum, families needed a quality agency to support the in-home care providers that they received through this system. An agency that prioritized the needs of the families more than agency profits. An organization that was willing to invest back into the program to make it meaningful and effective. And that's where we started. That's why we became a nonprofit. We also did something else that was unheard of at the time, which was that we filled our volunteer board seats with parents whose children were receiving our services. That approach ensured that the needs of the families would always come first, and it established a strong foundation for the culture of the organization that continues to this day. Milestone number two is AZA United adding professional therapies to our clinical services. So after growing humbly for about 5 years, it was clear that the community valued our approach of families first, quality always. But they needed more. And we recognized that the next step was to bring in higher levels of clinical expertise and specialized services to address the most challenging needs. So we began our first program expansion effort by adding speech therapy, ABA therapy, and a high-risk behavior support program we call clinical family coaching. Now, for a young nonprofit on a very tight budget, these were challenging leaps. ABA therapy in particular was difficult because it was not yet funded by state systems or most insurance plans. So we spent years advocating for change and working with local public policy officials to make ABA therapy a covered benefit. And when it was finally added to the state Medicaid systems of care, that was a huge milestone for the community, because ABA therapy is widely recognized is one of the most impactful treatments available for children with autism. And our focus as a community organization has been to make this life-changing therapy accessible to all families. Milestone number 3 was opening our first children's therapy clinic at East Valley Center. We've spent several years preparing for geographic expansion, and our first goal was to find a new facility in the East Valley that could offer center-based ABA and other therapies. It was deeply important to us that our clinic felt like a second home for children, a place where parents would feel comfortable leaving their child for the day. So we prioritized having an outdoor play space, lots of natural light, open doors and windows for full transparency, and a warm, lively environment that is always evolving, just like our homes do. And of course, it would be full of the best therapists with the biggest hearts. And we planned to open that East Valley Center in March of 2020, but our grand opening was canceled when the pandemic hit and everything shut down. It was a rough start, but we survived it. We took a much slower and more cautious approach to ramping up services when the time was right. Today, the center is thriving, creating small miracles every day with an ever-growing list of milestones achieved for our children and families. Milestone number 4 is when we added new professional disciplines and services outside of Maricopa County. Now, the past few years have been a roller coaster, and like everyone else, we began the pandemic in survival mode, putting many plans on hold and navigating the day-to-day uncertainties. But then we discovered some new ways to support families, using telehealth and other innovative approaches. And as our use of technology and remote support improved, we realized we could pursue our goal of statewide expansion. So this year, we began offering services in Tucson and surrounding southern Arizona areas, with a mix of in-person home care and virtual telehealth support. Next year, we plan to build upon those services and replicate them in other parts of the state. And over the last 2 years, we also launched several new programs led by clinical professionals from disciplines that we had not previously employed: an occupational therapist, a counselor, and a clinical psychologist. Very few organizations in our field successfully bring together clinicians from these different disciplines to collaborate effectively as a team. But that is the basis of an interdisciplinary care model, something that is often touted as a best practice, but rarely achieved. So we intend to make our model a demonstration of what is possible when the best minds work together to change the course of a child's life. And finally, milestone number 5. The West Valley Center. 5 years ago, at our annual Caring Hearts Luncheon, we announced an ambitious plan to build a big new center. And today, we are finally achieving that milestone with the generous help of Phoenix Suns Charities, BHHS Legacy Foundation, the Gila River Indian Community, the Abbott Family Foundation, the West Valley Mavericks, and of course, supporters like you. This facility, the West Valley Center, will replicate and expand upon our successful model at the East Valley Center. This location also has enough land for us to continue developing the center in future years as we innovate and evolve into even better models of care to support individuals of all ages and all skill levels. For me, one of the biggest selling points of this property was we will never again need that much parking. So who knows what we can do? Achieving these milestones would not have been possible without the incredible support that we've received from our community over the years. And as a result, thousands of lives have been changed for the better. But our work is not done. It's estimated now that 1 in 40 children have autism. And as you all know, our population here is only growing, especially in the West Valley. And that's why we're here today. Things are much different from when we started in 2006. There's much higher community awareness and more services available to families in need. The Valley has even earned a reputation nationally as one of the most supportive communities for people with autism. And yet there is still a very long list of problems to be solved. We do not have nearly enough service providers available to meet the need. But places like the West Valley Center will help, not just because of the therapies that will happen here, but also the incredible training opportunities that this center can facilitate to help us replicate and disseminate these best practices far and wide. Many companies now offer therapy for young children with autism, but few programs are available to address the wide range of needs for adolescents, teens, and adults. And it is also a critical time for organizations in our field to lead the development of modern best practices and family-centered care models. There has been an explosion of for-profit autism service providers across the country, led mostly by private equity, now that insurance pays for ABA therapy. But it is coming at a cost. Many companies are intensely focused on maximizing profit, and we are seeing too many examples of poor quality care and business models that treat children and families like cash cows. That is unacceptable. The work we do here, along with our colleagues at other organizations that operate with integrity around a mission, has to be highlighted on a national scale as the standard of practice. And parents need to be educated on what effective treatment programs look like so that they can make informed decisions that truly help their child. Our role as an established nonprofit with a family's first reputation is more important than ever. We are called upon to be a leader in holistic and compassionate care as we uphold the same mission we began with 16 years ago, to help as many families as possible with individualized supports. Thank you. Now we are very pleased and honored to share with you a special video featuring our favorite members of AZA United, the kids. These photos and quotes were submitted by families for our annual Family Photo Contest with the theme Achieving Milestones Together. Enjoy this video, and then we'll be right back with a special message from our board chair.
I'm Melissa Hulke, and I proudly serve this wonderful organization as the current chair of the board of directors, a volunteer, and a donor. My personal connection to autism is through a longtime friend and fellow board member, Laurent Badu, whose son Alex, who is here today helping as a volunteer, he may have greeted you when you walked in. Hi, Alex. Was diagnosed at an early age. And I personally witnessed the many challenges his family went through just to navigate a complex healthcare system to get Alex the care that he needed when he was only a few years old. Alex has grown into a wonderful young man who enjoys spending time with friends and family and has a great sense of humor. I serve AZA United because it fills such a vital need in our community to improve access to needed healthcare services. And I want to highlight that when a child receives a diagnosis, AZA provides comprehensive therapy and services not only to children, but also to their families and members of their community, which is so important. I hope you feel as inspired as I do after hearing these stories from families and staff about the critical services AZA United provides. AZA meets each child where they are in their own unique developmental journey, and AZA celebrates each child's unique milestones, from basic daily living skills to conquering challenging behaviors. With 1 in 40 children in Arizona identified as being on the autism spectrum, these are the highest rates we have ever seen. And it's why your support is so critical. We really can't do this without you. I'm very proud of AZA United for investing 100% of the donations it receives to expand healthcare services. Therefore, your donation today will help AZA United continue expanding throughout the Valley so more underserved families can receive comprehensive services and supports. And good news that your contribution also qualifies for the Arizona Organization Tax Credit, which gives you a 100% dollar-for-dollar credit towards your taxes. Individuals can claim up to $400, and married couples filing jointly can claim up to $800. This tax credit is in a different category from those you may have seen for other organizations like schools. The good news is Arizona allows you to claim them all, so you don't have to pick and choose. AZA United will send you all the information you need to claim your tax credit successfully, and of course you can donate any amount, either over or under the tax credit limits. Any donation is so deeply appreciated and will help us to reach more families with critical support services. So table captains, please distribute the envelopes at your table, and guests, on behalf of Arizona families, please consider making a donation today by filling out one of the pledge forms. And please be sure to mark if your employer has a matching program. You may also use the QR code provided to make an electronic donation. It's fast, easy, and secure. It can make a world of difference to Arizona children and their families. Your support helps us to achieve milestones together. So thank you so very much, and we'll be back with you in just a moment.
Hi everyone, I'm back again. I just wanted, from all of us here at AZA, thank you so much for being here. I know the sun got a little hot. It means the world to us that you came out on this Saturday morning to be here with us today, and we just can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of this special moment, and we hope to see you again next year.
Thanks again. If anybody feels good for, we'll be around for a little longer. We're happy to show you around inside, and see you next time.